Good morning. On this beautiful Memorial Day weekend, I want to reach out and I want to let you know that we are praying for those of you that have lost people that fought for our country, and thank you to those that have served. Today, as I was thinking about what to share, the verse that kept coming to mind was in John chapter 15. Let me read those to you and then we'll refer back to them as we talk. As you can see, the scenery behind me is a little unusual for a Sunday morning or for a sermon, but I think very appropriate for this weekend and what God calls us to do. We're in the book of John, chapter 15, verses 12 through 15. And if you want to follow along, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, I'll read this to you. This is Jesus speaking. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I ask you to do. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I've called you friends. For everything that I have learned from my Father, I have chosen to make known to you. So here we have Jesus talking to us. In prior verses, he's talking to us about bearing fruit in our lives. And I think on this Memorial Day weekend, as we look and we survey out behind us the flags that are flying for those that have died for serving their country, for freedoms that we cherish, they gave up out of love for their country, for their fellow person, for their neighbors, for their family, for people that they did not even know. They gave up their lives so that others would have freedom. Jesus did the same thing. As we know that he died on the cross for us, he came so that we would have freedom. We would have freedom abundantly because of his sacrifice. But what does this call us to do? What does this call us to do as Christians? In fact, Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. And if you follow my commands, you're doing so as my friend. So I will call you a friend if you follow my commands. Well, this is a little scary thinking about this, looking back at what the sacrifices of those are made. And I think sometimes when we look at that, there's a disattachment of how and why we should live our Christian lives. Our Christian life should be lived so fully that we should be willing to sacrifice everything and anything for those that we call our neighbors. Who are our neighbors? They are everyone around us. You see, God's love does not just pick and choose who is the neighbor. I think sometimes in our society and as Christians, there are certain people that we choose to love, choose to like, choose to dislike, but that's not what we're called to do. We are called to love everyone as Jesus loves us. What did Jesus do for us? He gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we may be redeemed, so that we may have freedom because of him. Freedom from death, freedom from not knowing where our eternity lies. Now, how does this apply in the situation that we're in today? We watch the news. We look at everything that's going around us with COVID-19, with schools being out, with people out of work. The fear that is in our society right now is unrelatable for many of us. We all say that we want things to go back to normal, but I don't think that we quite understand that there is no normalcy ahead of this. We look at this and we understand that our sacrifices that we need to make, we make because Jesus made them for us. Did he make them because we're loved? He made them because he loves us. You see, today we need to think about how is it that we can sacrifice for others? How can we put ourselves into the shoes of those that are around us? How they're thinking, how they're feeling. As a pastor, it's been difficult. I love meeting together with our church people, but right now we're unable to because it's not safe, but other people think that it is safe. And we have to make decisions for the larger group of all, and we're trying to be wise in what we do. See, at the bottom of this, we're doing this out of the love of our hearts. That same love that Jesus has for us is the same love that we have for others. As we go through this time, I pray that you'll have grace and love for the people around you that differ in their thoughts on this. The people that are worried, the people that aren't worried, the people that are about to break out of the box, the people that want to stay hidden, the people that are worried about how this is going to impact their health because they suffer. You see, on this Memorial Day, we celebrate those freedoms of decisions or lack of decisions because of someone else's sacrifice. And Jesus calls us to do the same for those that are around us. To sacrifice our thoughts, to sacrifice what we want for the better of people around us. Why? Because true love is not thinking about ourselves first, it is thinking about our neighbors, the people around us. How will this impact them? What will happen to them? And so today, as we prayerfully go forth in this unusual of times, we're called to love, we're called to serve, we're called to approach each other with grace and love and care, the same love and care that Jesus cares for you. The same being willing to make the same sacrifice that he did, just as the people that we see represented by the flags behind us made for their country. So today, as you thank others, as you think about the sacrifices of others, think about what is it that I can do for my neighbor. Reach out to them, take them groceries, drop something at their doors, call and pick up the phone, send them lunch. Whatever it is that comes to mind, act upon it. Show your love for your community, for your neighbors, and for Jesus today. Go with God. Be blessed.